I really like the idea of using electricity for cooking when camping or when out traveling. I mean, just the idea that you could bring some solar panels and a battery and charge up the batteries either through the panels or your car, which gives you like an endless amount of power. I mean, that's really appealing to me. So let's say you have a small solar generator, like this 500 watt battery with a 500 watt built-in inverter. Well, you wouldn't be able to use traditional household appliances with this unit. So what could you use? How about this guy? This is a 300 watt cooker. Actually, I picked this up like an impulse buy on Amazon. It's like $20 and there is a variety of these kinds of models on there. It's not actually being sold as a cooker. It's sold as like a lunchbox warmer. The idea is that you can bring your cooked food and warm it up. Or you can also cook rice in them. So I thought, let's do some tests with this thing. Let's see, can you actually use this to cook food and not just reheat food? Would this be worthwhile to bring along on your trip? When you go camping, boondocking, traveling, would it be a good idea? Let's find out. First of all, let's take a look at this unit. So the way this is made here, it has two parts. It has a lid, and this is like a little storage device on top where you could put your utensils. It has these little handles, and I just think it's like really cute. Basically, we have two containers, and it's very compact, which I like. It comes with a little plastic cup and a power plug. And then the way it works is you pour water in here up to the max line, you put in your containers or your things, then you put your lid on, kind of just snaps in place. You plug it in to your power source, and then you push this button right here. So there is an on button, and that's it. There's no controls, it's basically just on or off. And what it does is it heats up the water boils, and it kind of produces this steaming effect, which heats or cooks the food. So this draws 300 watts, and most things take between like 15 to 20 minutes to cook. So if you used it for 20 minutes, that means that you used 100 watt hours. So in theory, a 500 watt power supply, when completely charged, should last you, I don't know, 3-4 times, something like that, depending how much loss there is with the inverter. So quite a few times. But if you keep recharging this with your solar panels, you could like use this like, indefinitely, which is kind of neat. I have tried this a little bit, but I haven't made like a full meal in here before. So I thought, let's cook some rice and let's cook some curry to go with it. Okay, so I have my timer. I have it set for 30 minutes. So you can see the steam coming up here now. So the rice and the lentils turned out really good, I think. Rice and lentils take about the same amount of time to cook, so that worked out. And also this is a nice camping meal because it's all dry goods, so nothing to refrigerate. And here you can see the lids that come with these containers as well, so you can, save if there's leftover food in here. So I would say that little experiment was a success. So let's take a couple of basic questions here and go over. How long does it take to heat up? You're gonna hit the button right there. Okay, so just turn this on. Let's start that. How long it's gonna take for it to start boiling. I'm getting some steam and it's almost 8 minutes. 7.5 minutes. How much power does it use? So on my Bluetti solar generator, I can see exactly how much power something draws. So I plugged it in there. When I first turned it on, it drew about 350, 360 watts. And after that, consistently around 312 watts. And this heating element, it doesn't cycle on or off, it just stays on, so it doesn't vary. How large are these containers? Okay, so that is almost exactly 2 cups. Does it smell weird? So far I have not detected any smell whatsoever. No weird plastic smell, nothing like that. Does the unit get hot? The plastic itself doesn't get very hot. Of course, when you release the steam is very hot. But even the metal cups, I mean, they're not even that hot. They're relatively thin, so. Can you brown anything in here? Basically what you get here is a double boiler, which means that the cooking is very gentle. I guess the thing to keep in mind is when water boils, it goes up to 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and it produces steam. But how about breakfast? Like, what can you do in that department? So I'm making eggs and biscuits here. Now, a little trick here, spraying some oil really helps to avoid getting anything stuck. This is just some regular scone or biscuit dough that I made, and I'm starting that first in the cooker, and that takes a little bit longer. And then I'm adding 2 cracked eggs in here. You can also boil eggs, I've tried that, that works well also. So in total, the biscuits took 15 minutes to cook and the eggs about 6 minutes. And the biscuit, it's very fluffy. It's super light. It's not like a brown biscuit, but it's cooked. Very good. And this turned out to be a really nice breakfast. I've also made oatmeal in this before, which I didn't film, but that worked out as well. So a couple of breakfast options. I guess the other thing to consider is that this is very safe. I mean, I'm sitting cooking with this thing on a blanket with my kid. I would never do that with like a propane heater. So it is like there's no weird fumes or smells, or it is very clean and safe. So that is a nice point as well. Next, I was curious about steaming vegetables, and how about just like pasta with tomato sauce? Like, could you cook the pasta in the sauce? So this worked out well also. So the pasta that I used, that was like egg noodles, where the cooking time was like 7 to 8 minutes. And that ended up actually taking 30 minutes to cook. I thought it might be done at 20, but it actually took 30 minutes. I think next time I would choose a different pasta that doesn't require as long a cooking time. If you're cooking something that requires a longer cooking time, you might have to add some more water, because you don't want to dry out this heating element, because that's going to fry the whole thing. You're gonna break the whole thing if there's no water in it and you have it on. We have pasta in tomato sauce, or tomato sauce with pasta perhaps. I also added a little bit too much water and sauce here, so it was a little too saucy, but it was still good. Now, after cooking savory food, I was curious, like, could I cook something in the dessert department? So I tried making a chocolate cake, and I also tried making an oatmeal cookie, which turned out kind of soft, like with the 1 egg ratio. So it was more cake-like. And personally, I actually really liked the way these turned out. They had a very special consistency though, like a steamed cake. Whereas other members of my family did not like these as much. So I think I still have some work to do in figuring out a really good recipe, but there certainly are options there. So I have a big 2000 watt Bluetti solar generator with a 2000 watt inverter. And while that's really great, and I could get a lot of charges out of that, I mean, I could just as easily use something small like this if I was able to recharge it. This charges up relatively slowly, about 75 watts an hour in the car. But that's almost like if I was driving an hour, I could basically charge it up almost for 1 cooking session. This is actually small enough. I mean, I went on a picnic and parked my car and walked a little bit of a distance to go to a nice setting. And this is small enough that it's not too cumbersome to do that. Whereas my big Bluetti is heavy. That's like 65 pounds, and I don't really want to walk with that too far. That's gonna sit in your car or wherever, your trailer, and most likely you're not gonna want to bring that along. Whereas you can actually bring this with you a little bit of a distance to go, to a nice setting or something away from your vehicle or your camper if you wanted to, which I kind of like. It makes it more fun. I guess when I first picked this up, I was thinking, is it worthwhile to make a video about this? But then I was thinking, for what it does, the idea of bringing low wattage cooking with you, like in the teardrop trailer, or when you're just on the road, I really like the idea of that. When you are in the woods, when you're off grid, have your solar generator and your solar panels and charge it up, that you are so self-contained and you're not going to run out of propane, like if you're using a propane stove to cook or anything like that. You can use it inside, although you do have to be kind of careful with the steam. especially when you are releasing it. If I was in the teardrop or if I was in a camper, you could certainly cook with it inside, but I would probably take it outside, or at the very least open a window or be over a fan when you open up the lid, because that's when it all comes out. Now in terms of the size, this is pretty large. I mean, it's not small. I would say that you can very comfortably cook for one person, but you can also cook for two people. Like when I've done like rice and curry, I mean, that's definitely enough for two people. It's not like that small. If you cook breakfast, like I have done like 2 eggs at a time in here, but this is a big container. You could certainly like crack more eggs, especially if you crack them, or you can boil a couple at the same time. So anyway, I just thought this was kind of a neat little idea. And I wanted to share it because I haven't seen like anybody else do this. And I like the idea of bringing this along, and it's so small. I've seen these go from between like $20 to $40. Seems to be the range for these kinds of cooker, and they come in slightly different sizes and configurations. But from what I've seen, they basically all work pretty much the same. So I'll put some links in the description if you want to check something like this out. So let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.